when we built this MR2, this is the fastest MR2 in the world right there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Same with this NSX
really
in the
cool.
quarter mile.
Wow.
These are both the world's quickest and fastest.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
This one's been a 7.5 at 192. And then this one's been like an 8.8 at 166. This has no roll cage though. So I kind of just did it once and then haven't brought it back since. We're actually building another NSX that we're trying to go faster than the MR2 with.
That's awesome.
But
Wow.
even from the beginning, I just kind of planned it out. I was like, I know I can do this. I get my, audience in on it with me. I'm like, all right, guys, I think we can, go this number with this car, or we can make this horsepower with this car. And I try to do it in a way that's just unique and not cookie cutter. And
right.
And I think it just comes naturally to me. I don't do it for the YouTube side of it. I just don't want to build something that's like everyone else's.
Oh yeah, I'm 100%
And I think a lot of people are like that.
Yeah,
so.
anytime I see that it's already been done, like I'm like, I got to do it different, I was telling you, we bought a burnt Ferrari from Tavares, and last night we were talking to him about that, and he's like, oh, what are you going to do with it? And I had all these ideas for engines, and he's like, yeah, but do you want it to run? Like, just put an LS in it. And I was like, everybody's done an LS. And he's like, put a K series engine in it. And I was like, yeah, but somebody's already done that too. Like, somebody already K swapped a Ferrari.
It was beating the record for MR2, for example. Was that the idea from the start? You had this idea like, all right, I got to find the right car, find the right modifications, or is it like you just saw a good deal on that car and thought it was cool, bought it, and then you're like, hey, maybe, how much of a pre-thought process was there?
So the reason I have the MR2 is because my goal was to just try to dominate people in street racing, because I've had the MR2
in general.
Okay. It wasn't even about, it was just, I want to be the fastest guy on the street with what I am, familiar with, which is Honda engines and stuff. Because back when I was street racing the hatch and our YouTube channel was smaller and I wasn't worried about, people showing up to my front door asking about, why are you street racing, like police or something.
Yeah.
Right. That's the main reason I got away from it, is because it's hard to just throw street racing stuff out there, because it is,
well,
especially with the size of the channel now. But every now and then we'll still make a trip to Mexico and have some fun. But at that time, I was racing that one on the street. It was front wheel drive. You can only make so much power in it before the tires just can't get any traction, no matter how much weight you throw up there, this and that. And there was a video of someone that had K-swapped an MR2 with that same Honda power plant, but in the back, where it could actually put the traction down on the street. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to build one of those. So I got the MR2, and I slowly started getting it together. But as the channel got bigger and bigger, by the time this car was done, we had already made, a pretty big name for ourselves, and I really never street raced it like it was originally intended. So my plan with it kind of shifted, and I was like, you know what, we'll just take this thing drag racing. And I kind of looked into how fast MR2s have been, and I was like, I bet we could have the fastest one. So that just kind of gave me a new goal to reach, and then that's where that shifted over, and then I just put all my time and energy into that thing, and we kind of made it happen, and that's that.
That's awesome. That's a great story for world's fastest MR2, because I'm sure people before you had set out to make the world's fastest MR2,
there's a couple of them out there.
Yeah, what was the previous record when you decided to make that?
Dude, and because of me, I pushed so many of them to really go for it, because there wasn't much competition.
Sure.
And at that time, I think one was running high 8s, and it was one out of the United Kingdom. And I hadn't even run an 8 yet, and I was also trying to have my first 8-second car, because the hatch was my first 9-second quarter mile car. And the MR2 I was going a little crazier with, so I was like, this will be my first 8-second car. And then once we ran that first 8, then I was like, okay, we're right on this record.
Right.
And then I think that guy saw what we were doing, so he started turning it up, and he eventually got it down to an 8.3. And we were all starting to get into this lower 8-second range, and none of them had run a 7 yet. So I'm like, all right, we have to be the first to run a 7-second MR2, because even if the record gets beaten later on, we could always have that we were the first to be in the 7s. They couldn't take that from us.
Yeah,
because we were getting so close to that 7-second mark, and for an MR2 to go maybe a 6 in the future is going to be so insane that it might not be possible.
Right.
We might try to push for it, but I don't know if anyone's going to go that far. But 100% there was going to be more 7-second MR2s in the future.
Sure.
So we wanted to try to be the first to do it.
Sense.
And we just went all in on it and made it happen.
That's awesome.
I mean, we did it within after we completely tore the car apart, rebuilt it, and it was just a couple months we were able to do it.
That's awesome.
So,
wow.
we just took like everything we learned and we just threw it back at the car. I was like, I don't care about, and like at that time I had the door cards in it. I had like all this stuff because I wanted it to be still like streetable, like my original plan. And I kind of had to bite the bullet. I'm like, no, this thing needs to be a race car. Get it out, gut it, make it light. And we're just going to go for it.
That's awesome.
Wow. Did you ever think when you were doing your first few videos that were getting attention that you'd have a world's fastest anything? Like, were you like super ambitious in the beginning? Like, I'm going to take this as far as I can. I'm going to make the world's fastest this, the world's fastest that.
Not at all. It just literally came. When I was watching videos of people modifying their Civics when I knew nothing, there were the record breaking Civics that would come up, which, they're running like 7s at like 200 miles an hour in the quarter, even still front wheel drive at that time, which is insane.
Wow.
So, and within a quarter mile span, they're breaking 200 miles an hour. And I genuinely watch those videos and I sit there, I'm like, all right, these guys are rocket scientists. They're probably like mixing fuel in a lab and like making sure everything's perfect. I'm just sitting there, I'm like, I'm not that smart. There's no way I can even get to that level. But then when you actually just put your mind to it and you're just passionate about it, like you said, it's like you just kind of figure stuff out. And I just started to realize, I think growing up, I just always underestimated myself. And then growing up, I realized, all these people are just like me.
Yeah, everyone's just a normal person.
Everyone's a normal person, and that was just like the biggest eye opener to me.
For
then
sure.
I'm like, man, maybe I can do this.
And the thing you don't understand when you're young either, at least I didn't, was the compound interest of doing the same thing over and over again. You just learn more and more and get better and better. And like, even at like when you first get into something, you're learning a lot really quickly. And then towards the end, it like takes a lot to get any better. Like if you're playing the guitar or anything like that last 10% is so much harder to achieve than the first 10%. But you've been building these cars over and over again, learning more and more, getting more and more people in your life that know more and more.
Blowing up more and more engines.
Exactly. Like you can't, like it does seem impossible when you don't know much about it, but like I'm sure now a lot more than a lot of people that you were looking up to when you started even maybe. I have a money question for you about the MR2.
What's that?
So obviously you built it online so anyone can see exactly what you did, but you still hold the record, right?
Yeah.
So if someone was going to start from scratch, try to at least match your record, following what you did, how much would it cost to build that car?
It'd be hard to say. For one, the value of the MR2s have gone up a lot. Back when I got it, it was $3,000 running and driving.
Really?
Back when I got it.
That's
and now you're not going to find a clean one for under like $5,000. And that's like a non-turbo, like
right.
Most of them are going for like 10, 15 plus now.
For good clean one.
You got to start there with the car. You're going to be probably, maybe if you find a good clean roller, you're in it for 4 or 5. And overall, everything said and done, you're probably going to be in that thing at least 60, 70 grand. All said and done.
But for the world's fastest, that's not much.
Fastest.
Yeah.
That's not crazy.
No, it's really
there's
not.
Guys spending hundreds of thousands on cars to go, slower than what the MR2 is capable of.
For sure.
It's just that Honda platform. If it was a 8-cylinder engine, the engine alone would have been twice as much to build, essentially. Right. It is kind of that way. You know, a set of rods is twice as much for an 8-cylinder.
Sure.
It's just is what it is.
Twice as many parts.
I haven't thought of it that way. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Which makes sense why these smaller engine builds are so much more affordable.
Yeah, it kind of scales up. Like you think if someone wants to build a drag racing street bike, it's going to be expensive, but like say you dump 30, 40 grand into a street bike, like it's going to be insane.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's a single person small thing. It's like the bigger they get, it's almost like the more expensive they get.
Pretty much.
In certain scenarios too, though. Yeah. But you could also do like a LS Fox body Mustang and go really fast. That's like a proven setup.
That but you're not going to get anywhere close to the world's fastest Fox body.
Yeah, but it's not at all.
You're not even going to touch it.
No, I'm not even going that way at all. But that was a big opportunity I saw at the MR2, is that it was a chassis that hadn't been really pushed to its limits, and it's like right there in like the JDM legends almost. It's not like a Toyota Supra or a FDR X7 or a 34 Skyline, but it's like right under them.
Mm-hmm. And it will be.
Yeah,
as time goes on and they get more rare and become in more movies and YouTube channels making them go really, really fast. I think I've seen cars kind of get into that tier. Like even when I first started getting into cars, like an E36 M3 wasn't that big of a deal. But then like when Paul Walker died and his collection had 3 or 4 of those super rare versions, then they got like a lot more sought after. And then after that, it seems like every year they just get more and more sought after if there's less and less. So like cars like this, I could see kind of in that same like E36 M3 category where it's like they just get more and more sought after as time goes on.
What's the fastest E36 in the world?
I have no idea.
Not a clue.
I'll
Yeah.
have to find out.
Probably
Maybe
very fast.
Maybe there's an opportunity.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
there is an opportunity there.
Yeah, what I
man.
was getting at is all those cars, you know,
Yeah.
like they've all been done. There's
Yep.
5-second Supras, like they've all had a crazy, you know, record on each chassis except the MR2. So that's why I went that route. It kind of helped me make a name for ourselves.
sure.
And same thing with the NSX. You know, anyone that dares to modify one usually will just take one onto like a road course or something. You hardly ever see one of these at a drag strip because
Right.
they're kind of a rare iconic car. But
Yep.
this one I got kind of already done up with a K series, so
Nice.
we just sent it.